view. Flip a doujin in the bed, I'm reading manga till it's 2. Tell me that you love us if I go, I'm knowing that's true. Cause you acting all moe and vanilla in my view. So this is for them waifus, straight 2D flex in my life, fool. If you fuck with hentai, you my dude. Let the beat right out, keep it nice and smooth, yo. Hello? Yeah, I got a question.
Alright, welcome to the Weeaboos, the anime podcast where some of the most unqualified people try to answer your anime questions. I'm Hunter.
I'm Kyle.
Should we just rename it to the Hunter and Kyle Annabros show?
Sam's officially kicked off the podcast.
So this time Sam's excuse. Let's get the legitimate one.
Actually read
guys, spelled wrong in capitals. Abe made me shoot shots of drinks. Can't move. And then he said weeaboos, but he said like we space a space booze with 2 beer emojis.
So
there's no Sam. So Sam had to fix his car and then get drunk. So that's why Sam's not with us anymore.
I mean, at least he's on brand, you know. At least he's drunk. He's with us in spirit.
Yeah. He gets it. He's in the booze, but not the part.
And what are we drinking this week?
Oh, so we have slightly different things. I'm drinking a Odell Brewing Company Runoff Red IPA. I'm typically a fan of IPAs now, and this is no exception. It's good.
I'm drinking what we had last week, which was the Bigfoot barley wine. I'm already 1 beer in. I actually just had the IPA. So
this the IPA is I would say extra hoppy. It's pretty it's pretty distinct. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about world building, or essentially kind of the world that anime kind of is a part of. Really, what kind of brought on this topic is the idea that, like, you always see on Reddit or Imager or something, it's like, you know, choose which anime world and, like, what power you would want. Right?
Yeah, like the world you'd love to live in.
Yeah, and it's like, a lot of people would choose, you know, like, Pokemon or something, right? Like, who wouldn't want to throw away all this school bullshit at 10 years old and then just, like...
Be a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, be a Pokemon trainer, right? And then just run off and fucking play with furry critters that can kill each other, right? Or people will be like, I want to be in Dragon Ball Z. And I'm like, that'd be stupid because you'd be a human in Dragon Ball Z and they fucking die a lot.
Right.
But, you know, what kind of makes a world really, like, accessible or really makes, like, vibrant as if it really is just a fantasy universe that could exist in some, you know, someone's mind or whatever. And what really makes you want to, you know, be a part of that world.
Definitely. So I think we're going to go over a little bit of elements of a good world. So what makes up a proper setting and what makes it feel immersive. And then maybe I think we'll talk about length, and if the length can really determine whether something is more immersive than maybe a short series.
Right. So, you know, you have these like 200-300 episode series like One Piece, Naruto, the Bleach universe that have really, you know, like, just the breadth of the universe is just so large. But is that really due to them creating a good world, or is it just because they've had so long to do it?
Yeah. So let's first start by talking about the elements, like what makes up a good world. For me, I once talked about how I really dislike when a political show like starts with a map burning, as someone narrates like this dramatic historical past.
Or like it'll be Japan, and then it'll say like political person did something here first, and it'll be like a little red dot that like starts expanding, and then another red dot starts expanding, and then like the entire country's red.
Yeah. I think like
and it like zooms into a firefight.
Right, exactly. Like I just hate that. Like to me, it's similar to like having a tutorial in a video game. Tutorials make you stop playing the game in order to learn how to play it, but truly good game design should have intuitive controls or weave the mechanical aspect into the narrative itself.
Yeah, instead of doing like I think as a show, you're saying basically if you take the first 5 minutes as a big expose of what's going on, you don't explain the story well enough through, you know, just natural means.
Yes, and that is what people like to call show, don't tell. Like, don't tell me what happened a year ago. Instead, show me people like rebuilding towns and have characters recovering from injuries. And those little elements will...
Yeah, like in the background you have like propaganda posters.
Yeah, exactly. People are smart. We can put two and two together. We don't need
Yeah, it's the same as like when an anime has like a big joke and it's like it has it sitting in front of you and then it really points it out. It's like, do you get it yet? And then somebody still explains the joke or something. And
Exactly.
It's like, just don't treat us like idiots.
Yeah, definitely. And like Sword Art Online like literally had the equivalent of a tutorial scene in season 2 where they sit down in a cafe and just outline every single detail about the show. And like, isn't there like a specific rule about exposition in diners specifically? Like, isn't that like...
Is there a rule about diners?
Yeah, I feel like I've read somewhere that like if two people sit down in a diner and talk about exposition, like that is like a big...
That's like breaking a rule.
Yeah, that's something like you're just not supposed to do. I think like the only exception is, what's that Quentin Tarantino movie?
Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction, yeah, I think Pulp Fiction did that.
Pulp Fiction, I mean, Quentin Tarantino does a lot of like stuff that you're not supposed to be allowed to do, but like
Right.
makes it work.
Yes, so. And any show where we are thrown into a world is a good example of show don't tell. Kyosogiga, Flip Flappers, Casher and Sins, Nagi no Asukura, there are hundreds of these shows. Anime is a visual medium. Settings are visual. Use visuals. It's really self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's actually even beyond that. You'll have like, you know, those shows that'll actually weave the story into the theme song, and it says it literally every single time it
Yeah.
starts. Like, I don't know. I think that the best storytelling obviously is just done with, you know, just the characters interacting with one another, and then you find out little bits and pieces about the story. Like Evangelion has an amazing, you know, world around it, and it doesn't sit there and like talk to you about every single piece of it.
Yeah, it never does. It never explains, I mean, to a certain
No,
extent.
there's pieces where it's like specifically explained to you, but even then I still have no idea what's going on half the time. And that's kind of the fun of it, like finding out little pieces here and there.
And that's because like not everything is best conveyed through words. Like that is really what this is about, what settings are about. Settings are visual. It's much easier to convey an emotion through visuals, through what is happening, rather than saying, okay, let's sit down, you're not smart enough to understand this, let's go over it again.
Plus, it kind of like puts you closer with the characters because you almost feel like you're, you know, actually experiencing it through their eyes. You're finding it out the same way that they would. It's not like the main character actually gets sat down and he's like, all right, bitch, here's how this world works. You
Yeah.
have magical powers, you have this, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah. And that's done through so many ways. You know, like the guy who's like, I've been in this world for, or this like army or this whatever for, oh, do we have to drink? Is that a butt?
That's
Okay.
a lot of butt.
Aside from show don't tell, I think there's also a sense of space through framing. That's another element that makes up good world building. And framing is sort of a tough topic to cover through audio since it revolves around like camera work. But it focuses on how the world is conveyed rather than the world itself. It's how one fictional portrayal of Shibuya is different from another.
Shibuya?
Shibuya, yeah.
Okay.
Like, did I pronounce it wrong?
I was just wondering. I was just making sure we were talking about the same thing.
Okay, yeah. Like in episode 1 of Gurren Lagann, it starts underground and the camera relies on these close-ups and low-angled, almost fish-eyed points of view, making you feel very confined. And as soon as they break through the surface, we're given this beautiful shot that's in like a wide-angle perspective,
Yeah, and it's
you
above
can
the
see the sun and
characters.
the moon, and like the world is like spinning around, and it makes everything feel so huge. And those are the type of camera angles that can really convey how you're supposed to feel in that world.
Yeah, I think that there's, you know, a multitude of examples of where you have, like, that's almost like a world that changes really drastically, where it's like more than it would seem.
Right. Like the last element I kind of thought of that really makes a good world is really obvious, and the world should feel alive. And I don't want to go too much into this because this kind of delves into what we talked about with our other setting topic, which was setting as a character. But simply, the world should feel like it can exist without its characters. it needs to be convincing and believable.
Well, you mean without the main characters or without any people?
I would say without the main characters.
Right. It needs to be like ReZero did a pretty good job of this, I would
It
say.
did. It
Because
did.
like you go into the town and he just interacts with like total randos all the time. And you actually get a sense that he is actually in a world and people just, go about their daily lives and he's this weirdo that comes out and starts yelling and screaming at people for no reason, which would, and people like react appropriately.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it actually seems like this world could, obviously it's like fantasy, but everything that they've made within the fantasy actually makes sense with one another. Like
Yeah.
if you make a fantasy world that's like post-war, but everyone's like super happy and upbeat all the time, it kind of like, you don't have the same. It doesn't make sense within the world that you'd have this horrible tragedy like 5 years ago and everyone's in super high spirits all the time.
Yes, what you basically just explained the first episode of Gate. Gate is this anime where episode 1, this main character who is, like, from what we can assume, is like an otaku, and he's getting off the train to go to this convention, and meanwhile there's like a alternate dimension is like invading, and he's like, that's not good, I'm not gonna make it to my convention. But like the visuals and what he's saying completely contradict each other and make you like, I'm completely unable to understand the atmosphere of that scene because of that contrast between what he's saying and the visuals.
Actually, an example of something that does this well, even if you don't like the series, is Attack on Titan, because like from the first episode on, everybody's like total Debbie Downer all the time. Everyone's like, the world's ending, like we don't have much time left, like just go into the Royal Guard because you'll be safe for the longest amount of time. You'll live the longest before they inevitably get to the center and kill everyone. Like it is total, just like everybody has no hope. Like and even the main characters, while they have some hope, you even see like them be in high spirits and be ready to go and then just get like totally crushed and just like their spirits beaten out of them. It's really, you get a sense of this world and that, it's really, post-apocalypse, and it not like, everyone seems to think apocalypse is always like nuclear winter,
No, it's just
but like post, horrible world as you know it ending event.
Right.
And it's actually people acting as if you would expect them to in an event like that.
right. Other examples, like, I know how Totsuki Academy will function even if Soma isn't there because it's been so well explained. I know that. Well, I know what will happen in the shopping district in Tamako Market because it was given such a strong personality. There are so many little areas with anime, and maybe it's the entire world itself that have been given that personality, and it makes it so believable.
Now, one question, I just thought of this, is we've just spent so much time talking about how important it is, but really, legitimately, is a good world necessary for a good anime, for something that you enjoy?
I don't think so. It definitely helps. It's kind of what we talked about between like making like a masterpiece and just a good show. I think a good show can definitely kind of set the setting aside. A masterpiece needs to truly bring in every element of a story, including the setting. But I think there are plenty of good shows that focus primarily on characters and downplay the setting, and it's definitely secondary to the overall plot.
The first thing that came into my mind was Tatami Galaxy. It's just like,
Yeah.
I can't even remember really anything about the setting. All I remember is like the setting played an important role in like maybe a half of one episode, like where he like does the flying thing.
Yeah, the bike club.
Yeah, the bike club. But really, the setting in that is totally secondary. It is all about finding out, this kid and his weird affection with some girl, and his like, what was the onion kid's?
Oh,
his like
Kazu or something like that.
And this person always bringing him down. His like, what? He's not like evil, but like. I don't know how
He's
to,
like
how to describe
devious.
it, but it's totally about the characters. Like
Right, it's a very internal show.
Yeah.
I think maybe most psychological shows focus on the characters and their internal struggle.
I wouldn't say just psychological, because like Psychopaths pits this huge, like, you know, immersive alive world, but it's a super psychological show. But maybe something like Death Note is just like, okay, it's in a city, whatever, we're going to talk about these characters, their struggles, and how they're feeling.
Right, but something that Death Note does kind of well is convey the time properly. We know it's modern day based on like the technology they have to solve these crimes.
But I guess the thing is that it's not that you're throwing the setting entirely aside, but it's like the
Less
world,
of a focus.
Yeah, like the world of Nisekoi isn't like this amazing alive world where if you pull the main characters out, it has any substance whatsoever.
Yeah, totally.
But, you know, the show is not about that, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I'm trying to hit the point forward that I don't think it's necessary, but it does add to it. But not every show really needs to spend all this time making some extravagant world when they can just be like, and that happens in modern day Japan. How about a high school?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should, but like you said, they don't need to.
Well, with Nisekoi, would Keion, would any of these shows be better served in another setting?
That's a tough question.
Keion in London, man. I don't.
There you go.
All right, fine, maybe.
But see, I don't know if K-On! Would have been the same show if it took like if it was entirely placed in London.
The point of the London episode being so dope, or movie,
Yeah.
was because they were in the high school
The whole time.
the entire time. So it was like this new, refreshing thing.
Yeah. Okay. So what originally sparked this topic was your question, which was, can a series be like really long and be less immersive than a short series, or vice versa?
Yeah, so does length, you know, like directly correlate with the immersiveness of the world?
Correct.
So like Dragon Ball Z, obviously a super long running series. They have, you know, they have multiple races, all sorts of baddies, all sorts of things all over the place, you know, tons of planet, a whole set of universe rules. They have their own heaven and hell, like a totally fleshed out world, right? And it is a really long series. Now, I can't think personally of an example of a really long series that hasn't, you know, put together some semblance of an immersive alive world.
Right.
Just because they've had so long to do it.
I think like my simple answer to the question, like, can a world be fleshed out without being long, is, of course. Like, the world of One Piece isn't fleshed out because it's like 3,000 episodes. It's fleshed out because there are Denden Mushi and Vivere cards and all these entirely unnecessary details that give the show this incredible charm. Denden Mushi were those snails, like the snail telephones.
Oh, and then the ones that like power the cars?
Yeah, well, those were turtles in the movie.
Oh, those were turtles.
But they were also like security
Oh
cameras.
yeah, the snails that like they were like the security, the alarm system. They had like the lasers or whatever. No, those are owls. One Piece is crazy, dude. One Piece is nuts.
But like basically, snails are used as phones. They're called Denden Mushi, and that's entirely unnecessary. But something like that is what makes One Piece immersive and a good world. Like those little tiny details. Vivere cards are like these little slips of paper that kind of lead you in the direction you should be going. That's another like piece of technology, or I don't even want to call it technology, but it's just a part of that world that makes it its own thing. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's such a long series.
Right. So. And then like you know, the world of, say, Full Metal Alchemist is totally fleshed out by, like, the third episode, and you know everything about this. It didn't have to be 64 episodes and go across multiple countries, or counties, I don't know how it's phrased. I think they're countries. You know, and go across all these things to let you know that it all existed within that world.
Right, but, like, Full Metal Alchemist, once again, isn't this super immersive world because it just has alchemy. It's because it has all these rules and these like academies, and like the alchemists are not just like these renegades. They are.
But not only are they there's different types of alchemists. There's people that just do it for the science. There's people that are like doctors and they do like, you know, health kind of like healing alchemy. And then you have, you know, people that use it for crime, and then you have people that get enlisted into the military, and people have like resentment and they call them dogs of the military for these people. And you really get a sense that, you know, the alchemists are a little bit special, and some people, look up to them, and some people like hate them for what they have.
But the thing is, like, the author, the creator, could have stopped at like it's a world with alchemy, but they didn't. They made this huge, expansive world with all those rules we just talked about. Like that's
Right,
That's what
and then
makes
they
it-
have, and that's exactly what makes it such an immersive show, because you're pulled into the show by 3 or 4 episodes or whatever. It doesn't take that long to really build out the world that you get so invested in.
Right. And like Quiet Country Cafe and Giant Robo and Fooly Cooly are like all these 6-episode shows. And they are debatably just as involved in the world as anything as Full Metal.
Fully Coolly just made up the rules like by the minute though of the world.
But it still made sense, and it still felt unique to me.
Oh, it's super unique, but I'm saying, like, as far as what they decided, I feel like an episode, like, while they were writing episode 1, they had no idea what they were going to do for, like,
I don't know.
a different part. I don't know. It seems so totally random all the time, which I loved, but I feel like it was just, like, an exercise in creative writing, and, like, people wrote 6 separate episodes themselves and then just combined it, and they're like, fuck it, it'll work.
I think we need to take a drink.
That's a lot of Namis, not the League of Legends Nami.
I have a much different opinion on Fooly Cooly than a lot of you guys do. I think, like, I hate using the word random to describe Fooly Cooly. I think everything is extremely meaningful. But maybe that is a topic for
that's
another
totally
day.
like, that's so the English teacher answer about, like, no, it was Blue Binder because he was sad. It's like, fuck you, he wrote it blue. He just chose it.
Okay, that's where we differ, though. Like, I am that English teacher, and you're the student in that sense, because I completely agree with meaning behind most
But
things.
here's
like
the thing. I think you're totally, like, you can go and find your own meaning and stuff. I think the authors generally are open-ended, and they want you to find your own meaning in things, and you find it, and that's fine. But when a teacher says, no, you're wrong, it is because of this, that's where it's like, no, this is, it's like, it's something that you have to interpret yourself, and you can't be taught to look for emotion in things.
Okay, I get your point. So that's most of what I had to say about setting and longevity.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered different pieces of setting in the setting as a character episode, so I just wanted to see what really you thought went into some of the worlds that we know and love so much. So what are you watching?
Well, let's get into questions first. But I actually wanted to ask you, if you had to live in an anime world, what anime world would you live in?
If I had to live in any anime world. Now, do I get a choice on, like, which character I am, or is it like if I chose DBD,
It's just
I'm
the world.
so close
You
to...
kind of have to be like a human.
I have to be a human?
You can't be like the protagonist. You can't get all the superpowers.
Honestly, after seeing One Piece, that wouldn't be a bad choice.
It's interesting. I mean, there are some towns that you haven't really seen yet that are like enslaved and corrupt and
Samurai Champloo would be pretty cool, but I'd also probably be one of the dudes that just, like, gets cut down in the street. Like, Cowboy Bebop's a super cool universe.
well, it's really kind of like there's a lot of it that's kind of like scummy, like the dregs of society, very run down.
But it's a really cool universe. Obviously, like, Full Metal, I'm super invested in. I love Full Metal, but I'm not sure if I'd probably be bored without any... I guess you can study alchemy and you can do the circles and stuff, but it's like, you got to be the badass that can clap and make everything happen.
Right. I don't think I have an answer.
I think pulling out the thing where you can have, any power, or, actually have the cool bits of the world,
Right.
kind of, like, takes away from the answer, because it's like, oh, if I choose Attack on Titan, I probably died in the initial attack. Like, if I chose Pokemon, I'd probably be like fucking what's Johnny or something or whatever, like, with the shorts are cool with, like, 3 Caterpie or some shit, right? It's like, on average, you're probably going to be one of the losers in the show that gets run over in the first episode.
I have no idea. I think something came to mind, but it just escaped me just now. I would want a world with just some really simple technological advancement that makes kind of life easier for everyone. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say
Star Trek.
no. Well, that's not an anime. That's the worst anime.
Like, spray food and shit.
Yeah, something like that. It just makes my life more convenient. An anime universe with really good internet. I don't know. Something simple.
really good internet.
Sword Art Online.
Dude, legit though, like without the whole dying if you die thing, Sword Art would be pretty dope.
Yeah, just good, maybe possibly affordable VR.
Not even like that, but like so it's way past VR, dude. That is like
Right.
the most immersive thing ever. That is the dream. Honestly, Sword Art, that's a pretty good choice right there.
Yeah.
Or you could just choose one with like as many hot people as possible.
That's a good one. That's a good. I have to think about that. Keijo. I want to live in Keijo. All right, let's answer a question. We have a question from Pedal Dance. I really enjoyed the episode where it was just you talking. It's nice to hear your in-depth views in anime. Your podcast really dives into different concepts besides just talking about different genres. It gives such a nice perspective. I want to ask what you meant by anime where girls are doing masculine things. Keep up the good work. So,
Girls in Panzer.
yeah. So, in my contrast episode, I mentioned that I didn't really want to go too much in depth to kind of a subgenre of cute girls doing masculine things.
Well, it like totally exists. Like, you know, you have a cute girl with a gun or something. Like, okay, Sword Art Online 2 or whatever. That's obviously, I don't know, guns are kind of masculine. So girls shooting guns, girls in tanks.
Yeah, some examples are Girls in Panzer, Upote, Sagabu, Kantai Collection, Strike Witches, and even High School of the Dead, where we see these cute or hot girls doing these very manly things. And Jeremy actually introduced me to the idea of like when you play a video game that is in third person, he would always pick a female character because his justification was
He wants to look at the butt.
right. If you're gonna play a game where you're just staring at the butt of a character walking around, it might as well be an attractive woman. And up until that point, I had always, when I played any video game ever, I would always pick a male character because I'm male and I want to put myself in their shoes. I want to feel like I'm that character.
I started picking male characters and I was like, I'm going to make myself in the game. And then I realized I'm totally shit at making, like using the sculpting, like the face sculpting tool and stuff.
Right.
And it always comes out as this like deformed, like fucking shell of myself, right? So I just started choosing hot characters. And it doesn't have to be, or themed. Like sometimes I'll be, you know, like Black Dynamite, Samuel L. Jackson or something, right?
Okay.
Going through it. But I think I might be half on choosing male and female characters as my like persona. In World of Warcraft, I just have an army of female blood characters. Like I legit think every single character, the only classes I don't have in that game, I stopped playing, but the only classes I don't have in that game are the characters that can't be female bloodhounds.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But that concept is what the anime I listed kind of follow. Basically, if it's cute girls doing cute things, it's essentially like girls in their natural environment, like K-On! They're having tea and playing instruments.
Many girls are in rock bands.
Well,
that one's actually, that kind of bridges the gap between cute and masculine things.
Okay, there are thousands of others. What's that Usagi Cafe, whatever? I don't know. There are like an infinite number of.
It doesn't even have to be the entire show revolves around it, but like you have, you know, you see like some badass dude with really long hair like slicing ninjas down with a samurai sword, and then he flips around and it's a girl, a really hot girl, and you're like, oh, that's.
I mean, my point is, guys like watching cute girls.
Yeah.
Guys don't always like what cute girls are doing, whether it's cooking or very cutesy, you know, just feminine things. So, creators take those cute girls and put them in masculine situations, like driving tanks or killing zombies, and therefore it attracts the male audience even more.
Yeah.
And I'm, compared to like how contrast is typically used, I'm kind of, I don't want to say against those shows. I have a little bit more of an aversion. Not a complete aversion, obviously, but
I don't think I can bring myself towards like Girls in Panzer, but I don't mind like seeing the it's almost like the archetype of the badass female protagonist or something, right?
So yeah, that's what I mentioned. I was kind of mentioning about girls doing masculine things.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't love the audience it appeals to. Do we want to talk about?
You should love yourself.
What?
So you don't love the audience. You're the audience.
Oh, shut up. Get out. What are you watching?
Right now, We watched the second episode of Katana Gatari. So Katana Gatari, still pretty good. I think I kind of enjoyed the first episode a little bit more just because the main like baddie dude, the ninja with the sword, was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And like the brooding whatever, like fucking seventh generation some shit. I protect this stupid fucking castle in the desert. Stupid shit. So like I don't know. I like the funny quirky ninja dude better than the brooding samurai guy.
Yes.
So I did like
1.
the first episode a little bit more, but I do like seeing the girl get more like run over in this episode. I like seeing her.
Yeah, she kind of got
fail
pushed
because
aside.
she's totally like way cocky.
Yeah.
So I like seeing her kind of get pushed aside, and I'm excited for the third episode. It's still a fun little show.
Yeah. I don't have.
Hey, High School of the Dead.
School of the Dead up on screen. I don't have too much to talk about. I really liked the newest episode of Kuzuno Honkai. I'm loving it. That smug look on that teacher's face at the end of episode 3, I think. Oh man, that like okay, it's really rare for a show to make me like die to see what happens next. ReZero did that. Kuzuno Honkai is doing that to me right now. I really am thinking about it like actively. Whereas a lot of other shows I'm watching this season are some like shows I'm interested in, but I'm not like dying to know what happens next. I'm really liking that show a lot.
Steins Gate did that to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? Rakugo. Rakugo is also really fantastic so far. I'm loving the wife, the guy who we call Sis. She is a fantastic character, and she's really making the show for me right now. It's a little hard for me to talk about airing anime on a week-to-week basis because it's not really discussion-based, because you're not watching anything airing, which is totally fine. I really like how you're watching Katana Gatari too. But don't forget, you can send me your thoughts and opinions on what you're watching, whether it's airing or not, just because your opinions are just as valid or interesting as ours.
They're probably more valid.
Probably.
Maybe not more interesting. That's 50-50.
Like we say, send us questions, but there really are no restrictions. We love feedback or new ideas, like drinking games or...
Kyle, what are you wearing?
Oh, sweatpants.
What color?
They're brown. They're sexy brown sweatpants.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Thank you. So like you can give us suggestions like drinking games, drink suggestions, like game suggestions, new segments for the podcast. Is the podcast too long, too short? Would you like us to review a series for an entire episode? I'm tempted to say...
pretty much like, we're your bitch.
Well, I mean, I'm tempted to say we'll try any suggestion you make no matter what, at least once, but that might be dangerous. I don't know.
Keep it classy.
But like, yeah, in short, don't hesitate to send us as many questions, topic suggestions, or opinions on shows as you would like. There's an anonymous button on Tumblr too if you're more comfortable doing that. We love you guys, and we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for your support.
Yeah, if nobody watched, we'd totally be done like episode 3.
And like always, we want to get the word out, so continue to reblog our episodes and share it with friends. And if you have the time, please give us an iTunes review. We want to thank Kentai Dude for our intro music and Kid Boo for our outro music. And like always, get
Drunk.
and
Anime.
see you guys next week.
You can catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit. Catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit.